So nearby, Nisha, Brad, and Lucas. What is your favourite sport that people say is not a real sport?
Frisbee.
I was literally thinking the frisbee one.
Ultimate frisbee.
Ultimate frisbee is hilarious. It's like frisbee golf. They can land like 900 yarder with a frisbee.
I really like bowling.
I love
Ball as well.
boom. I thought you were just mispronounced pool because you've got a cider in your hand. But let's talk about darts. So we tend to expect professional athletes to look a certain way. That being, at the very least, marginally fitter looking than the average person. Scotsman Jockey Wilson was a notable exception to that rule. And guys, are you familiar at all with the legend in the darting world known as Jockey Wilson?
Can't say I am.
So keep in mind, this man is one of the greatest darts players to have ever lived. And they are famous or infamous, depending on which way you look at it, for just not exactly being the picture of health. And when I say that, I mean this is what Jockey Wilson looked like. That is them at a professional game.
That's what I imagine when someone says professional athlete.
Have you seen as well, like that professional darts player who's 16 and looks like 4? He looks like 40.
He does not look
It's
16.
it's so funny because me and Adam have never been into darts, never watched darts.
But
We
people
watched
want-
it for
people
Luke
want to watch
Littler.
it.
I think I love darts. Darts is just such a fun sport. And one of the things I want to do this year is I want to go to an actual darts match. Because apparently it's like a really good atmosphere.
So hype, doesn't it?
Oh, it's on. It's on. And the first leg of the match.
It's really impressive though, just the idea of like a 16-year-old got to the finals of the World Championships. The only thing anyone cares about is how old he looks.
He looks like 40. He looks about 40. He looks older than me. And I'm literally twice as old as he is.
That's what darts does to you.
The thing is, it kind of is, because that's what darts used to be. Darts used to be like one of the most just like, that's a sport? Or like, that guy's an athlete?
Because like, if that kid was playing darts in like a bar when I was serving, I would not ID that man.
You know,
He's not going to get served now, is he? Everyone knows his age.
Yeah.
but he was a professional darts player by trade, and he rose to prominence in the early 80s, one of the most prolific and prominent dart hookers the world had ever seen. And it's worth noting that around the time that Jockey Wilson was playing, darts was just starting to become a televised sport, which saw it get a lot of money injected into it, because darts, similar to pool and snooker, began life as a pub game that eventually just got some money put into it. And I've always respected darts for not going the way that snooker did. Because I don't like, we've done a video before, haven't we, Brad, about how stuck up and stuffy snooker is, because they want to get away from its, like, pub origins. All the players have to wear like trousers and a waistcoat, and they have a guy with white gloves move the balls across the table with his finger, and like the crowd's got to be eerily silent. You watch darts and you have people just getting absolutely annihilated on like £2 pints, just going, "Way!"
Just everyone's like screaming 108.
The thing though, I was laughing because one of the guys, I think it was a final match. The guy doing the announcements just wasn't even saying words. He was like,
And that's why I like darts, because it's kept some elements of those pub origins and people invited to have fun. It reminds me a little bit of, you watch like Happy Gilmore, and it's like he's bringing the sport of golf into disrepute, and it goes, well, people are having fun. And like Happy Gilmore's like, hey, come on guys, cheer a little bit, come on, cheer. And he wants people to get excited because you're watching an exciting sport. You're watching one of the best people in the world at this one specific thing excel in their field, and people want to watch that. And one of the things about the early days of darts is that they really kept the pub origins for a surprisingly long time. But what are you trying to say, Lucas?
I'm just laughing at the fact that you call golf an exciting sport to watch.
If you like the sport, it is exciting to watch. It's like people say snooker's boring. I think snooker is really exciting because of I like the game, so I'm aware of the skill and finesse required to play at that level.
Yeah, as someone who's very uninterested in watching golf, I enjoy playing it, but like it's similar to like the kind of thing where people are, oh yeah, fishing's really fun. It's like, to me, it's just a very boring activity,
Yeah.
but I get that other people.
And you do have like professional fishing, and you have like professional like. Yeah, you do. You have like competitions.
We have Olympic fishing or something.
We have Olympic fishing, but you have like fishing competition.
Pro bass fishing? Where do you think that comes from?
What do you think the perfect cast originator, Brad?
Is there such thing as like Olympic bowling, like actual bowling?
There's not Olympic bowling. There is like bowling is a very, very big sport, and there's an article that I read a few years ago that's really fascinating. Hopefully you can track it down, Lucas, when you do the edit, and put a link in the description. And it's about the heyday of professional bowling, which is basically the American version of darts. It's not as seedy as darts is, but it was always seen as like this thing you did with a few beers. And just in the 80s, bowlers were like the most famous celebrities in America. Like they used to like televise bowling games, and they were huge celebrities, and there was like $1 million endorsement deals and stuff like that.
Oh, I did not know that.
That's like, the Big Lebowski, when they're like, the guy who thinks he's hot shit at bowling. Darts kind of kept its popularity, and they have toned stuff down a little bit. It's still raucous. It still has that pub atmosphere. They want people to get excited. There's a lot of crowd interaction, and there's a lot of, shall we say, characters in darts. Like Luke Littler, what's his nickname?
I can't remember.
It's Luke the Nuke. It's Luke the Nuke. And that's the thing you look at, it's like, that's Luke the Nuke. And it's just like, in the earliest days of its televised history, it was still very much a pub game that they just suddenly gave like millions of pounds to. And as a result, like players would frequently drink and smoke on stage. And that's something that actually happened up until the early 90s. And when they stopped people from smoking and drinking on stage, it caused a massive uproar because a lot of players argued, I can't play unless I'm drunk. And one of those players was Jockey Wilson, because he could not play unless he was drunk.
They should incorporate the drinks parts into the rules, where it's like, for every dart you throw, a pint must be consumed.
Jockey Wilson's gimmick, for lack of a better term, is that he just spend as much time as possible wandering around the stage looking like he didn't know what he was doing. Like, he would stumble around like a shit-faced toddler, not, like, paying attention to anything going on. He'd throw his darts in a very obnoxious, strange way that was not using proper form. No, like, he would throw his darts and he'd do this. Like, he'd splay his arms out awkwardly, so like, not a thing you're supposed to do.
And the old snatch is working now, that spinning drive of the dart.
But would still throw the darts with almost unerring precision at the board, which infuriated his opponents. Because he was like better than 99% of the people in the world of his sport, and he played it blind piss drunk every single time. This might have you thinking, was it an act? Was Jockey Wilson putting on that he was drunk, perhaps as a way to like lower his opponent's guard?
Drinking non-alcoholic beer.
No, he was really, really, really drunk. And it's reported that by Jockey Wilson himself and the people who play with him, he would routinely consume 10 pints and 10 shots of vodka before every single match.
Jesus.
Nobody fucks with the Jesus.
Not to mention as well, he would drink in between, legs. Not in between his legs is what a word for, frame it up.
Have legs left after that much drink.
Legless.
He was literally legless a lot of it, yeah. So he'd drink
Why the vodka?
because he needed someone to wash the beer down with.
To calm his nerves.
I get if he's just knocking back some pints before his game, but like the vodka's intentional. He's trying to get
Keeping in mind while he drink while he was playing, and there's a famous story about a player who's like, okay, I've heard that Jockey Wilson's a bit of a drinker, but this is a pub game, I'm a bit of a drinker myself. And they did like 20 pints, and then the person passed out, to which Jockey Wilson stood up and said, okay, I'm glad we're done, I'm going out for a real drink. And walked out completely stone cold sober.
It's like, I get the idea of like, everyone's always said like, oh, well, I'm better at pool after a pint.
Yeah.
But like 20 pints.
And Jockey Wilson, he would, when he was asked, why do you drink so much? It's the only way to steady my nerves and therefore steady my hands. And this actually does have some precedent because you're one of the first people to be kicked out of the Olympics for using a performance-enhancing drug. He's a guy who had 1 pint, I think he had 1 or 2 pints before a shooting competition to steady his nerves, which was seen as being performance-enhancing because it slows your heart rate down and allowed him to shoot more accurately. And they were banned from the Olympics.
I guess in Jockey's case, it's a bit of Dutch courage.
Yep, he was kind of thrust into the world of darts playing because he'd just get drunk at his local pub and was really good. And you should go play in a darts league. And that just so happened to coincide with darts leagues being televised, and then all these huge personalities erupted from it. And he's like, well, I don't really want to be a personality, but then people latched onto him because he's just so magnetic a personality. He's just the drunk guy who just is really good. And people just kept watching and cheering for him. And obviously, the more fans he got, the more nervous he got, because obviously the crowds would get bigger and bigger and bigger. And they were coming out to see his antics. And his antics were just, I don't want to be here. I just want to play darts and go home. And you've almost got to respect it. And what really cracks me up, though, is that people loved the shit that this guy would do. Like, they would go to his tournaments and they'd watch them on TV, just waiting to see the stuff that he'd do. And, like, you know, he didn't really have much respect for his fellow players because obviously they didn't have much respect for him. So he'd do stuff like, you know, not shaking people's hands, which made him a bit of a villain, but also like the kind of villain people love to rally behind because he always won. And like other players refused to shake his hand, or like, you know, he'd just he'd go up with a pint in his hand and throw the dart and go get 180 while like downing his pint. And just people love this. And then one time he just fell down. He fell off the stage. I just used one of my favourite screenshots from Family Guy. And I only imagine he fell down like a Family Guy character who just instantly ate shit. Now let's play a fun game I like to call When Did Jockey Wilson Die? So after everything I've said about this man, a bottle of vodka a day, 10 pints before a match, 10 pints during, 10 pints afterwards. Nothing but fast food and sugar. At what age do you think Jockey Wilson died of health complications from his diet and his lifestyle?
Presumably, because you're asking the question, it's got to be like 90.
That's a bit high.
Well, like, you know what I mean.
That's a bit high.
I'm exaggerating for effect.
You wouldn't be saying this if it wasn't at least somewhere between 60 and 90. I'm going to go with 67.
67 for Brad.
I'll go with 71.
71 for Nisha.
I was thinking 72.
72. So Brad wins because he died at the age of 62. Which isn't actually that bad when you think about it. Like, keep in mind, he was eating and drinking like this until the very day that he died. So 62 is actually not a bad age, all things considered.
There's a lot of people that are healthy that die younger.
Yeah, that's the legend of Jockey Wilson. I just like the idea of like the world's greatest dart player for a little bit. He's just this portly Scotsman who's like 5 foot odd, whatever, just like with a pint in his hand going. And just I love like every picture of him. He's just like him in the bath with his pint. It reminds me a little bit of like in FIFA they have like the World 11. When someone pointed out, like, the picture they've used for Pele is a crop photo of him when he was in his hot tub. It's like, someone just discovered, like, the crop photo they used for Pele on the World 11. It's like, just a shot of him in his hot tub. It's like, why did they use this photo of Pele? So, you got any other, like, you know, favourite, like, you know, obscure or, like, seldom respected sports? You mentioned bowling. I love bowling. And professional bowling is, like, one of those things when you watch it, and just, like, when they throw the ball and it curves around, it's like, how do you do that? It's magic.
I really like playing that one. We've played it a few times on that shuffleboard.
Oh, not just emerged from nowhere. Now every bar has
You do
shuffleboard.
the Salt Bay sort of motion to salt the the board up, and then you have to.
It's only really become popular over here, at least in like modern bars in the past like 5-10 years. Yeah, for people who are shuffleboard so old, it's like but.
We've only recently started seeing it, so we're excited about it.
It's like the emergence of these like just not sports bars necessarily, but bars that have like axe throwing and pool and all these other like pub games.
The bars don't have axe throwing.
They do, yeah.
Really?
And they tell you not to drink while you're doing it. Then.
Imagine Jockey Wilson axe throwing.
Oh, in modern day, we need the Jockey Wilson of the axe throwing world. Of just like whip pint and just what?
Just stumbling around.
There's something that happens a lot now, which is like those really old-fashioned or like lesser-known outdoor games have become more popular. I know Malky is one that.
No, we always go malking. Yeah, we gotta go malking in the summer.
Hang on, what?
It's like some Danish game, right? Where it's like you just throw wooden sticks in a park.
But you've also got cornhole.
Like, you know what? I love me a bit of cornholing.
What about beer pong?
Beer pong's
we
a
did the tournament.
Here's the one that I hate. Have you ever played beer pong with someone who really likes beer pong? And like I did it once. No, I did it once. I went to a house party and we were playing beer pong with someone who like takes it too seriously. And I was like, I went to the thing with your elbows over the table. You got to take a drink. I went, what? I went, okay, now it's my throw, and he threw it straight in. I went back up to okay then. I bounced it and he like slapped it bounced once. And I was like, what? So he's not allowed to bounce more than once. And I think like just three of us just stood up and went fine and just went to the other room. So this is not fun now. You have optimised the fun out of beer pong.
Taking the fun out of a game where it's meant to be like people getting drunk and therefore having no coordination.
Some people didn't drink.
But that's the thing is, beer pong, when they do like beer pong tournaments, they do it without alcohol. And it's like, what's the point?
But other like little lesser known games, there's Crokinole. Have you ever played that?
Never played Crokinole now.
So Crokinole has a circular playing board, and it's about flicking little discs into the centre of the board, and then you take it in turns and flick them. It's got a similar vibe to shuffleboard, but it's circular and you have to get as close to the middle as possible.
That reminds me of my ex who was American. And I told her about Tiddlywinks. And she just did not believe that Tiddlywinks was a thing.
What about Toddlywonks?
Yeah, that's what he said. And I told her about Toddlywonks. It's like, that's the adult version. Or like ferret legging. She didn't believe that ferret legging was a thing. And like, I remember the story that was like, the guy who broke the world ferret legging championship, which people don't know is you just put a ferret down your pants.
Is this a real thing?
It's a real thing, yeah. And the record was like 2 hours. And some guy tried to break the record, but after a while the ferret fell asleep. So all it was just a guy stood there on a stage, and eventually people left and they took the stage down. And just eventually, just like, he got really sad and just had to let the ferret out the bottom of his trousers and leave. Because he could, and they say the record will probably stand forever because no one can be arsed watching someone. Because eventually the ferret just stops. And just the image of the sad guy just slowly letting a ferret out of his trousers and leaving.
I just love the idea now that like people who are not British might think that everyone like every weekend just ferret legging.
It's like shin kicking, that was one. Where it's like, you just put your hands on each other's shoulders and kick each other as hard as you fucking can in the shins. Don't want to go on the weekend and play football, but I'll go play professional tag. Like, give me like tag, but give me like TIG over here. In like one of those big courses.
Do you ever play rubber ball? It's where you go to the library and buy a rubber, and then you kick it in the air and whoever catches it gets a point.
Wow.
It's one of our games.
Well, it's those games you have when you're a kid. It's like one that we used to do is like, we'd get something stuck in a tree on purpose and then just throw rocks at it until it came down. Which a lot of like people in the neighbourhood didn't like.
I think some of these are actually games.
No, these are games we play, it doesn't mean they're a real game.
It's because we didn't have a ball, because it got stuck in the tree. And then while in the process of getting the ball out of the tree, we invented a new game.
It's like, that actually was quite fun. Let's get it back up there. The one I always shout out as like a childhood game is Kirby.
Yeah, stand opposite sides of the road and throw
Throw a football at the curb.
Go try and hit the curb so it bounces back and catch
I was
it.
thinking when you said Kirby, it was Kirby.
No, not the Nintendo character.
No, I did play that.
Yeah.
It's like heads and volleys, isn't it? Where it's like football, but you're only allowed to score a header or a volley. Play equipment costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like when you've got one ball, and that's it. You get bored of playing football. Or when you've only got like 5 people, you can't play 5 aside with 5 people. You play 2 aside.
In my junior school, we had it was the playground, concrete, and then a massive field up a hill, and we just rolled down the hill.
We had a big hill near us, colloquially called the Big Hill. And it would just be a game of just going down the hill. And it was really great because it started really shallow, and then as it went along, it got bigger and bigger and bigger. To the point where in winter, you'd go to the scrappers and you'd get a car bonnet and you'd slide down the big hill. And the thing is, right at the bottom was just people's gardens with brick walls. And at no point did anyone ever think what happens when we get to the bottom and just slide at 30 miles an hour into a brick wall. And the amount of people who just slammed head first into this brick wall on the back of a car bonnet, and then would go back to the top and do it again.
I always love those videos where you watch some kid getting into a tyre and then rolling down the hill, and it starts out looking real fun. And then,
there's that viral video of that Scottish guy who's sliding down a frozen road, so I'm sliding down this road now, right? Just going down the road for 5 minutes.
It reminds me of I watched over Christmas. I watched the Jackass movies again, and I forgot they have one of the funniest cuts of I've ever seen in a film where it's one of those short stunts they did where they get the bungee rope and put it on the back of a shopping trolley. And they let go, and the shopping trolley, catapults and does 14 flips throughout the car park. And everyone there goes, that's ridiculous. And then it smash cuts to Ryan Dunn sat inside.
Nobody's doing that. You're not doing Who's going first? What rhymes with done?
And then they pull down the shutter. And you think, that's mean, but that probably saved his life. That's the story of Action Park, isn't it? Which the Jackass crew made a movie about. Where they had that circular water. It was a water slide that had a loop-the-loop in it. And they could never get permission to open it. And they said, okay, just send a fucking mannequin down to see what happens. And the mannequins kept coming down without heads. and they couldn't figure out where they were going. But just like the idea that they sent a mannequin down and it came out without a head, and they couldn't figure out what, like, maybe we shouldn't send children down there. Well, I'll find, like, the picture of it. Of just, like, you're looking at, why would you do that? Like, it's as bad as you think it is, of, like, just...
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
because it's, like, such a tight loop the loop. But, like, they didn't realise this is why slides don't have loop the loops. But let us know, folks at home, in the comments, like, what your favourite childhood game that would probably, like, you know, not make it an Olympic sport due to the dangers posed therein. But thank you for watching. Cheers, everyone, and see you all next time.